Yeah, and that's a good point that you mentioned, is that you don't have to be in love with the product.
No.
It's the same thing with me in real estate. I'm not going to live in that place, right?
That's right.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Richer Geek. I'm excited to have Neil Twa. Neil's the founder, CEO of Voltage Digital Marketing. I'm really excited about having Neil on. This is something we haven't talked about. He is launching, operating, and growing a private label e-commerce business for the last 9 years. How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Now, I want you to share a little bit. It's like where to start, man. Because this is such a unique thing.
Yeah.
So you've developed this blueprint on how to build and how our listeners can build an online business. And I think that is going to raise some eyebrows because a lot of our listeners are in tech. So it's an online business that will generate a passive, potentially six-figure income in about 12 months' time. And on top of that, you get to set up the business for, who knows, shoot for the moon, right?
Shoot for the moon. Yeah. Shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon. Tell us about it. What are you doing?
Well, let's go back and answer some questions probably in people's minds first, because the last thing I ever want in these conversations is to ever sound like I'm pitching my business or what I do, because it's very the opposite of the way we approach everything. So let's talk about what is e-commerce, maybe what is the opportunity, because that typically tries to edify one major component that everybody comes to me with. And that is the time and energy it takes to get this kind of thing done, right? Especially to the people we're speaking with. And you and I were joking about a podcast that you had just recently with a couple of guys in terms of passive income and stuff, and how they're sort of doing it, and how we have interacted with them. Literally, we didn't know until 5 minutes ago that we even knew these guys, and that's how tight this network can get. But it has to do with understanding the business and the opportunity. Like, just to go back in time in the Wayback Machine here for just a second, and give you some context to this conversation without going too far outside of the realm of answering your question. Literally, I dropped out of school to go into e-commerce. I got into my third year of college, and as the internet was exploding and things were happening so fast, there was no school track or any other mechanism that I could go learn how to do digital online commerce. And that's what I wanted to do. I had gone to school on a full music scholarship, literally full ride music scholarship, playing classical trumpet, as they refer to it, and literally didn't see the end result being anything but living in a van down by the river. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something different. So having an aptitude in computers and technology, I jumped into a little job, literally $4.25 an hour, learning how to put the computers together because the school was getting them all in. I'm dating myself. And they were putting them together. Nobody knew what the heck they were doing. Right. And then Windows 3.1 showed up. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to become something. This is amazing. I want to know. No one could teach me. So I said, I'm jumping out. I'm going to go figure this out. So I started teaching myself programming, business, ended up in Sprint, got very successful within that enough that IBM literally offered me a job and hired me out of Sprint. Again, no degree. Really taught me the business of networking. Always had the entrepreneurial bug. I like to joke that I was like one of before Robert wrote the book, I had a rich dad and a poor dad. My dad was a hardworking man, 28 years, mechanic, used to climb under the cars with him. God love him. He was a hardworking man, taught me about ethics and all kinds of wonderful things about life. But he didn't really understand entrepreneurialism. He didn't understand big business. And that was my uncle. My uncle understood big business. He understood managing, understood his own thing. He had a boat shop that he had created out of San Diego. He was building his own company, his own boats. And he gave me a whole different perspective on the way to think about business and life and entrepreneurialism. So I always knew that that's where I wanted to go. I always wanted to go bigger. And so as I got through IBM and realizing I wanted to obviously continue down the track of e-com, I was running an entrepreneur, as we like to refer to it, not an entrepreneur, because technically I was in a corporation, but I was building something outside of the company. I knew eventually I was going to exit. In 2007, we parted ways and I went out on my own. But eventually I learned how to understand business and branding and online and lead generation and how do people buy products and why they want to buy products. And I stumbled across Amazon because it was such a unique opportunity in 2010 to realize what this could potentially become. It was another moment of opportunity and time, and I jumped full bore into it. And because of that, 9 years later, we've grown a system that's launched brands, it's acquired companies, sold companies. It builds and launches and grows. We chose the e-commerce vehicle because it's so big. In the last 24 months, it was one of the only double-digit growth industries out there. And we started to see it like a virtual real estate play because it had literally the ability to stake your claim online inside of this marketplace, prove the product in the brand, have physical inventory we deployed capital into because we weren't just doing a virtual thing, and then tie those things together and then start to serve a brand, start to serve people. And we watched that take off and just go like crazy. And we learned the major question, to go back to what you were at, was what the hell do I sell? Outside of time, this is great, Neil. That's all fun and good. But what do I sell somebody? Like, how do I actually sell something? And we had a lot of people asking us that questions many years ago and got into the process of coaching and mentoring and have continued to elevate into the business levels, not the like online make money nonsense, like the pipe dreams, scratchers, lottery mindset junk. Mm-hmm. It is the building the real business with the end in mind. Exiting these businesses for multiples is where we go. So cradle to grave, from launching to exiting through the entire portfolio of our business is what we do. And we've adapted that now. And as Jim Collins says in Good to Great, we're hedgehogs. We went into this and we just kept hedgehogging down into it and developing opportunities and optimizing and continuing to just keep grow. And in that, until we've had multiple success stories beyond ourselves of people who have gone through the business, launched it, exited it, and are building right now.
Now, in all that you're just talking about, you're actually walking people through, you're giving them the resources, the plan. Yeah. And I think, what you're talking about is allowing someone to build an e-commerce business on Amazon, right?
That's correct. Amazon, what's called Fulfilled by Amazon, FBA as it's referred to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, all right, someone calls you up or emails you or whatever. Mm-hmm. Cool. I want to do this. Well, do you take anything? I want to sell a widget.
No, there's a criteria. So to answer the question, what do I sell? You actually have to get into the business and financial side of this. And this is where we have kind of moved over 9 years into really the business coaching component. And one of the things we learned that was creating success for others. Okay. We had successful stores. We built successful brands. We understood how to systematize it and build companies. That's what we did in the past. Okay, we built companies at IBM. I built companies within companies. That's what I did when I was there, right? And so as I learned to adapt that into my own business model, we had learned how to help other companies build themselves. And so we set up this whole thing to basically become like a no ownership, like a franchise, but no ownership and no requirements from that component, but they can leverage my infrastructure, my people, my processes, my technology, our experience and knowledge, and our business coaching to literally just replicate the process. Like, don't go out of the lines. It's paint by numbers. Mm-hmm. You follow the process because my ultimate, you ready for this, evil capitalistic agenda is you get a successful business and my portfolios group either acquires it or helps you sell it. And that's where the real money is made. Right? Absolutely. So to set you up from the very beginning with the end in mind is really the whole component. So I won't just let you sell anything. You don't have to be particularly passionate about it, but there is a criteria and an avatar that we take you to. We call it Gold Mountain. So you're not over here in Dry Gulch. And in Amazon, if you've been around it at all, or even understood the concept that you could sell on it, many of the concerns that I get when people come to me and say, well, 2 to 3 years, I've been looking at this opportunity, haven't done it. 5 years, I've been looking at this opportunity and haven't done anything. The lady a minute ago came in and she's gonna sign up and they're a good fit for it, but she spent the last year doing due diligence and before choosing to work with us. And it is because they understand the business opportunity. They understand they've chosen to work with e-com. They understand it is a huge upside potential in the future. And they're looking for somebody to help them avoid the pitfalls. They're looking to stay in the lines, be accountable, understand the system and processes, become a CEO of that company, right? And use us literally like a board of advisors who come in and help them structure from literally the LLC creation through the corporate structure, through where to get the products, to my agents, to the graphics, to the avatar, even down to a beta service we're launching right now that lets them choose products that they register inside of Amazon with us that basically get exclusivity to our organization, so they don't compete with anybody else inside of our organization because we go compete with the market. We don't want them to compete with each other because we've gotten so good at this when we enter the market, I feel bad for people who are already selling on Amazon.
Right.
Because in 3, 6, 9 months, we will own that market share in that area of Amazon and do very well with it. So we don't have builders competing with each other because of that. So we have this really cool mechanism that allows them to literally just choose a product, validate the sourcing, and launch within weeks and not months.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you mentioned, is that you don't have to be in love with the product.
No.
It's the same thing with me in real estate. I'm not going to live in that place. Right?
That's right. I'm going to fumigate it and get rid of the cockroaches, but I don't have to live there.
Yeah. All I care about is cash flow. Does it make money? Will it make me money?
Absolutely. Revenue is what is it? Revenue is revenue is vanity. Mm-hmm. Cash flow is king, and profit is sanity.
That's right.
And that's the same thing with this business model, because every 2 weeks you can get paid by Amazon like clockwork, and you can get cash flowed in these business models relatively fast, very profitably, because we choose the products that are typically higher retail. They're solution driven oriented products. They're not in what I call the Amazon's mosh pit, where you hang out with a 6'4" biker guy who's all sweaty and slamming around down on the bottom. That's where most of all the sellers go with these online offers and guru crap. They don't understand the real business is made when you develop the brand and you are considering the business in 90-day cash flow plans. You're understanding capital deployment and logistics. You actually build up processes and redundancy. Just like you systematize anything, including real estate or franchises or multi-franchises or multi brand deals or multi apartment complexes, you are going to go through a particular process every time, and we do the same thing on this end. We just do it in a virtual format. That basically makes us claim virtual real estate on Amazon, right? And then we become the property managers.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like this is something that someone could do part-time. They can still work full-time. This is something that you can kind of do on the side.
Yeah, if you're in the entrepreneur state, like let's say, there's entrepreneurs, one-upreneurs, entrepreneurs, I might coin voltagepreneurs. Those are kind of the concepts that I'm doing something inside a business, or I'm already working for somebody else, or maybe I have multiple business franchises, Subways, Chick-fil-A's, 27 Airbnbs, whatever. I want to deploy capital into another mechanism. I don't, it could be passive as I get it running. I don't obviously want to just put it in, Wall Street or some other mechanism. I don't necessarily want to do that, or I've already done that enough. You can make it passive. Yeah, you can grow it up relatively quickly. It's all about growth and metrics. It's all by the numbers to really know and understand how to approach this correctly. So there's a predictable outcome in 12 months.
Now let's talk about, a little bit about the process. So you go through the market research,
correct,
to see if this item meets your criteria.
Correct.
Right.
Very strict criteria. Absolutely.
And then you go through and you help build that brand.
Correct.
And, through FBA. Now, what if someone wanted to do a website outside? Do you have anyone that says, hey, you know what, this gadget works? Mm-hmm. Can I do an outside website?
Absolutely. You're going to do, you're absolutely going to ride multi-channel, like single channel types of businesses are points of failure. Amazon is the first vehicle we chose to ride, because it is fulfilling last mile to the customer, which is great because then we don't have the warehouses. We have third-party logistics companies and it gets sent into Amazon. So we don't have huge warehouses and don't have any employees. And that gets what's called economies of scale on the big picture, right? By choosing those products in such a way where they are highly profitable, the upside potential of the business becomes a real reality, right? And that is where we ensure that each product is chosen correctly. Each product has a profitability index and meets certain criteria. It has to have certain brand affinities. You have to register it on what's called Amazon's brand registry system. And we even go to brand trademark for intellectual property, because again, we're building a business that's an asset, putting time, money, and energy into something that becomes an asset. We're not just flipping products for profit, right? We're not doing wholesale or retail arbitrage or any of these online arbitrage things, which are literally against Amazon's terms of service, by the way. Any of those automation things are literally doomed to fail. I hear horror stories every month, sometimes every week, from people who got caught up in that nonsense. we're building a real business in the end, an asset-driven model that can become privatized. Now, with the FBA and stuff with Amazon, it is literally answering the question, well, who's going to buy my products? Because they're there. There are 200 million people a month, $630 million a day. 70% of that is going to third-party sellers like small pop business moms, individuals, couples, single moms. I'm just thinking of all the people that are inside of our group, right? 19-year-old high school dropouts. Kids who are homeschooling and want to learn how to build an alternative income or lifestyle business or doing this with their parents inside of our group. And again, it doesn't come down to me being passionate about the products. It's me understanding that someone else is passionate about the products and what's driving their interest in that product, and literally getting a qualified, good product in front of them that answers that solution that they're seeking, right? And if I do very good at that and I understand how that works, I don't have to force it. And so to get to an outside website in brand typically means a lot more cost, it's a lot more expensive, and you're trying to find your avatar out there in the big wide world. We use Amazon, specifically to your question, as an incubator. We use it as a way to test the product, test the brand, test the market. And we can do it in 6, 7, multi-7, even 8 figures before ever taking it offline to a website, at which point we will do that to a multi-channel later on because there's more profit. There's another big world out there to talk to, but we'll know the avatar, we'll know the price points, we'll know what resonates about the entire brand. We'll cash flow and make money while we're learning all of that market research. Okay. And then we can take it out and hire a group that we use to go do that horse. We have a saying in the country to finalize my answer here. You can't ride 2 horses with one ass. So we teach people how to just ride the Amazon horse to success first. And then all that other stuff becomes a lot easier later on. And they should do it in order to open new channels of opportunity and lower risk.
Well, what's funny is you're starting a business utilizing the largest platform in the world, which is a pretty cool thing.
Very cool thing.
And not only, especially during the pandemic, during COVID, I mean, how much did Amazon just hyper growth? Mm-hmm. And I can get it probably by 6 p.m. today if I order it right now.
And one of the things that, that is a con, let's cover that because I don't want everybody just to think that, well, hey, this is a big pump up. It's not. Let's go pros and cons for a second because I'm always real about this. I want to be real with people. Mm-hmm. They're not dumb. There's 111 plus ships setting off the coast of Long Beach in LA right now. Why? What's happening? Was that a problem? How do you overcome that? What's the, what's the gotcha in that model? I mean, at least I can see inventory down the street with houses. How are you dealing with the inventory issues and logistics, right? We don't go to China unless we absolutely have to, because that's a good portion of the ships that are hanging out at those ports. And we typically send a lot of stuff into the East Coast because we come from places like India and Vietnam and Bangladesh and other sources, even the United States and Mexico. So we got out of China to the most part for like 3 years ago. And we took a lot of our people with us, saw the writing on the wall during Trump's administration with tariffs and other concerns that were kind of just, indicators of what was going to happen. And because we're in this market and we live it and we're daily and breathing in it, we can see and start to forecast patterns, behaviors. We can look down the road a little bit and see certain things others don't see because we're in the details. And that's one of the benefits I think that most people see when they look at us as business coaches, is we have a very good viewpoint on where this is and where it's going, what to avoid and how to see the future opportunities, because we're heavily into it, right? So we ship other places, we get from other locations, we are in stock, we are in supply, where others are running out of inventory, and that's creating a whole new opportunity. I gotta be honest with you, it's blood in the streets. And when there's blood in the streets, there's money to be made. Mm-hmm. And right now, with the holiday season approaching at the time we're recording this, for those who are paying attention, the inventory levels are going to be a challenge for a lot of sellers, but the opportunity for those to get involved is going to be huge, epic. It's going to be incredible. And it's going to ricochet into 2022 in a big way. And e-commerce is not going away. If any other industry is going to suffer in the coming months or year, it certainly is not going to be e-commerce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue down and through how you're helping people. You do the account management. And now, what are some of the ways? So I have my product out on Amazon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you get people to those products?
So Amazon is a giant traffic source. If you just think about it in terms of not as a consumer, but let's look at it as a business person for just a second. if you look at Facebook as a social media site only for viewing pictures and images, you're missing one component of its opportunity, because many people see it as a way to connect with billions of people who are buying stuff. Amazon, unlike Google, is people looking for stuff to buy in 30 seconds or less. They are literally buying in 30 seconds or less. They are there to buy. So inside of Amazon, in this marketplace, there are 200 million sellers a month going by, buying something every day, all the time, everything you can think of. They are already there. So our goal and our experience has been to basically help our product be seen by this technology, this algorithm inside of this system called Amazon, this filing system of data, as the better product that should receive more traffic and more visibility compared to our competitors. And there's a number of techniques we've learned in the last 9 years to basically get our product to present itself as the better brand, the better product, even a higher price point, and get customers and traffic to literally come to our listing, because the system is rewarding us as the better product, better brand, better opportunity for the customer. And as it starts to validate that data in the system and says, yeah, you check this box, you check that box, you check this box, it will just start sending us more and more traffic. And
so is that how you get on top and you get all of a sudden the sponsored link, or, you go and I type something in.
Sure.
And the first one's a pop-up.
Yes.
It's
an ad. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called sponsored ads or sponsored brands. It's referred to in the marketing world as pay-per-click traffic marketing. Mm-hmm. And inside of Amazon, you can do that. It's one of the things we definitely do. When we go in to organize our brand, and once we go to market, when we target it, like your keyword just now that you were talking about for a product, and you land on that page, our goal is to dominate that entire page. You have no choice, but our product, it is the best product. And one of the ways we do that is through the brand marketing and product profit development. There's criteria of the numbers that have to match. And once we launch that, it is because we are going to dominate that space. And any of the 3 to 4 to 5 competitors are not going to be able to keep up with us. And we will stay there until we buy up all their traffic and we buy up all their customers, and Amazon rewards us for being the best product.
So maybe I'm learning so much, and I'm sure the listeners are too.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating, on how Amazon works.
It is, and it's the mechanical components. Like let's back out of the mechanics for just a second and really stay focused on the business, because I want people to understand that being a CEO of one of these companies isn't that you should be pushing buttons, or more importantly, that pushing a bunch of blinky lights for 40 hours a week is going to make you more money, because that's not really how this works. How it works is if you really get into the head of an avatar, a customer who's buying these products, okay, who wants to fill a solution, and you present them with a good product, it will take off by itself. It will take off organically. It'll get more reviews. They'll recommend it. People will put it on subscribe and save, and it will literally, relatively effortlessly, start throwing in a lot of traffic and a lot of sales. Amazon conversions on their listings are some of the highest online in terms of conversions, which for cold unknown traffic to brands is unlike anything we've ever experienced in years, which is why we chose it. People just buy a lot more and they are very convinced that when they want your brand, they buy at a very high rate, which is fantastic. And so we are looking at the profit per unit, not how many units we sell. That's a big misnomer on the online world as well. If I move 2,000 products and I get this bestseller badge, or I get into these things on Amazon, those are accolades that will make me more money. And it's actually not true. It is just accolades in the system. It isn't more money. It isn't about the amount of units I move. It's the the profit I get out of each unit that ultimately matters, because that creates a profitable brand. And as you know, a profitable P&L. So we are targeting products that have a minimum level of profit of $12 in each unit or higher. We know that when we go to market, we can buy our customers literally away from our competitors, and that we will stay there until all other metrics come back down in a normalization and organic traffic and product purchases go up. It's just a predictable cycle every time. And it happens across all the categories in Amazon, -3 that we don't sell in because of competition and other issues. But it really, again, is process driven. And as a CEO, as we teach these people how to become the CEOs of this, it's their understanding that they are dangerous enough to know those things and some of the technicalities, but that's not where they should stay on their focus. If they really want to grow this, they need to learn how to be the fiscal manager. They need to understand their brand avatar. If they double their understanding of their customer, they're going to double their revenue. And it has nothing to do with how much time you push buttons. That's something we teach people in 10 to 15 hours a week. Okay. Because of the systems we give, because of the people we give in our infrastructure, there's already everybody lined up to do the work. We just hand them off. And because we only invite so many people, so we don't want to overload our system I mean, when everybody following the process and staying in accountability, we keep it relatively low to the amount of people we invite to come in and work with us. And the other people either get rejected or they wait till another date because we make sure everybody runs the same process.
How long does it take? I give you a call.
Yeah.
Until product launch, do you think on average, like when can I start? How long does the process take?
In this time frame, it'll take anywhere between 3 to 6 months for the time you get the product, the brand, the business built, launch your first product, and then see growth or scale. Mm-hmm. That's a realistic time frame in today's world, right? And so I set that expectation. It's why our goals and in our time we work with people is over 12 months. It's why our structured skin in the game performance, pays your performance kind of model that we deployed is done over a 12-month period. Because we literally, if you look at all my case studies and you were going to investigate my people and talk to them or go, look at all the videos we've got from success stories, between 6 and 12 months is when everybody sees hypergrowth. The time, the launch, the maturity of the brand, Amazon's own systems, just maturing your brand inside of and seeing, and the algo's learning and saying, okay, you're the better, product, you're the better value. It will mature and grow, and it's like an avalanche, and it can go relatively fast. We have quite a few recorded launches that are 0 to 100,000 in 45 to 60 days, and that's monthly recurring revenue.
Monthly, wow!
Yep, we keep everything at a minimum 18 to 20% profit margin net on the business, and that is intended to really stage it up for exit. So we are very tight to make sure the business is good. So again, keeping the end in mind, this is an asset. And like a virtual real estate flip or a new real estate development that we're going to sell, there's costs, there's time to market, there's a predictable time in which we're going to flip this out and we're going to make a good profit off the back end. So we have basically taken kind of a real estate complex model and even put property management into it, if you will, by account management services for our builders at a later date. If they get to product and running and brand is going good and we have good ROI and good business, we can remove them by taking over full account management and making it 100% passive. And then take that business out to exit for them, at which point my buyers will buy that company because we're managing it. And it becomes a passive asset for them. And then we turn around and sell it up from there too. We can sell it 2 to 3 times beyond that.
And it's how many years do you think between
18 months or less is our predictable goal. So between 12 to 18 months, you're maturing to past a point of 7 figures with profitability, and you have at least a 3 to 4x multiple in that business right now. In 18 to 36 months, you should be able to hit 3 to 5 million. If all things are going correctly, all profit and opportunities are all measuring out correctly in the numbers. That's completely doable, at which point, you're going to see a higher end of 4x multiples. If you open additional channels after 18, to 36 months, you want to open another paid traffic channel or whatever, your multiples could go up to 5 to 7x.
So can they keep it after 18 months? Or is it
absolutely no contractual obligations? I don't put anybody in this. This is totally volunteer. There's no contracts to what you have to do at any time frame. What ends up happening is, of course, we help people. They get successful. They come back to us. They already trust us. They already know what we're doing. And then we get to, basically represent that business when the time comes for it to mature. I have people, that I taught 3-4 years ago who are popping up saying, hey, would you buy this or can you help me sell it? And their brands have matured. So that's relationship driven is the best way to do it.
And I'm sure it's just always fantastic, kind of watching your students.
It really is.
Per se, succeed.
Yes. Yeah. So one just recently was Patrick. Patrick was such a cool guy. Patrick, his first language is not English. And Patrick, it didn't have an extreme amount of business experience when he came into this, and he self-identifies as not having no e-commerce experience. And it's on my YouTube channel to go check it out. He's doing 80,000 a month right now, in 8 months, and he would be doing 250,000. But one of his primary providers has ran into some troubles with logistics. He's looking at a secondary provider to double up his inventory capacity because that's his only limitation right now. It's not the opportunity. It's that he's cranking things down a little bit in order to overcome his inventory, which he will. And it's totally doable today. Although it doesn't feel like that to some people out there, there's ways to get more inventory faster. And he's working through that and learning how to create redundancy in his business. And then he will easily go past $250,000 a month.
Unbelievable. I'm in the wrong business, everyone. No, I'm not. Let me rephrase that. I'm not in the wrong business. I need to diversify.
Diversification is what we're basically talking about, right?
What we're doing. I'm going to keep the hotels. I'm going to keep
keep those cash flows. You're open another leg of
right.
cash flow opportunity to potentially build up a passive opportunity that adapts itself to e-commerce and looks at it from a real business perspective. This is a business. It has exit potential. Don't waste your time on just flipping, products for profit. You're not serving anybody. You're making somebody else money. Yeah. That's not really how this model works well.
Yeah. How do people learn? Are these, when you go into an agreement with someone, is it an online course? Is it, how are people gaining this knowledge with your company?
Yep. So we have a game plan, and that has a documented set of templates and videos that you'll follow. But the most important part is the business coaching component. So we have office hours every week. We stay very tight to our people in our systems of accountability. So we have live calls. We are working with them each week to ensure they meet certain gates. We check in on them. If we haven't heard 3 or 4 days, my assistant rings them up and says, "Hey, where are you at? What's happening? Let's get going." Accountability is a big component of their getting involved, because they know that the opportunity is there. And we all have things that drive us off at times. And, if you're needing accountability, my people do. They really love that. And so there's a combination of some learning and online learning, but there's also live conversations. There's weekly live chats in our community groups. There's monthly live chats with our graduates group. And then we have obviously those office hours. We're very invested in the small group of people that we work with, because we want the highest percentage of them to succeed at their level of success, which is different for everybody. But we want those businesses to really see an opportunity for maturity. So we work very tightly with them on a place and a very one-on-one relationship with them.
It's, it sounds fantastic. I have never heard of anyone that does what you do.
There's not many that are out there. And somebody asked me why that was the other day, and not to toot my own horn. It's because I'm not paying attention to the rest of them. I don't know what they're doing. I literally don't care. I know what I'm doing.
That's right.
Right. And I think that's the most important part. I don't know what these other guys are doing. I don't care.
For our listeners out there, what would you say some of the startup costs are?
Yeah, that's a good question. Very good question. Expectations. Let's talk that, right? Obviously, to create a real business, that a $997 kind of crap is really not going to work. That's going to be, you'd get a coaching and you go by yourself, and good luck with that, and see you later. Our business mentoring fees are really geared towards, honestly, to disqualify the wrong people who are not really serious about the time and capital deployment that has to occur to make this become a real business. And if you're in real estate, if you're around investing, if you're in the business world, if you're buying franchises, then kind of a good estimate of what we're going to talk about. You're going to be looking at, $50,000 to $150,000 in the first year of capitalization to your business through mentoring, through products, through growth. It's not just pure capital outlay, and then you got to wait, 2 months, 2 years for this to come back. As your business goes to market, as your brand goes out, you're making sales immediately. And each of those products, as I already said, is profitable. So if your products are targeting our 100% margins, okay, then in 90 to 120 days, you'll recoup all the money you spent into it. And that's sort of our expectation, is within 120 days after launching a product that meets all of our criteria, the market expectation is that we return that, because we're doing the same thing. As we go out 90 days with each product, we expect it to produce a certain amount of time, sales velocity, profitability, et cetera. And we hold that same standard to our builders. So to get involved, we have an upfront fee that they will pay for the first 5 months. We spread it out in installments because I make it really not too complicated. And then I have a performance bonus. It says when you get to a certain amount of sales in 12 months or less, then you're going to pay me a bonus, right? You're going to pay me a bonus, and that's my skin in the game. I'm going to hang on to that. Not going to charge you, but we're going to get to work together. And then when we hit that and you get your first 100,000 in profits, then you're going to pay me 15% of that. But you're not going to pay me that until we get there. So we're stuck together to get this thing done. And that's it. I mean, it's not more complicated than that. We have a percentage we get like any other broker does. When the relationship occurs at the brokering level, it's typically 10%. And so we make it relatively easy for the right people to say yes, and more hard for those who really aren't committed to the product and capitalization requirements. You've got to inventory this, right? You can buy a franchise for that much. That takes you a lot more time to get going. It's scooping ice cream and hiring 15-year-olds. No one's asking you to do any of that here, right?
No, especially in today's job markets.
In today's job markets, no, you don't have to open a pizzeria or a 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Oh my gosh.
This is a totally different ball of wax. No, we're dealing in high product affinity product lines that are $50 to $300 in retail price, averaging $99. Our customer product brands for our brand builders are typically averaging $30 to $45 in profit per unit to their pocket after every unit's sold. So we're running a whole different level of brand affinity with our products. And of course, the profitability becomes an opportunity. The ability to dominate the market is really the opportunity. and the exit potential of that is much, much greater.
It sounds like, and especially out here where I live, I mean, that's cheaper than one single family rental.
It is. That's right. And the cash flow off of that is what, $500 a month after all expenses and profits. I'm talking about, making 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And I don't have to deal with tenants.
No tenants, no employees, no warehouses. You'll touch the product when you first qualify it and get it to you to ensure that it's a good quality product and it matches up because we are private label. And just to be very clear, that's not what's called white label. That is not somebody else's product that you're stamping a logo on or whatever. This is your product engineered, becoming your intellectual property. That's your value. It's innovation over invention. And that means you own this product. It is yours. No one else has one like you, and you can brand trademark it. And that's part of that intellectual property. So you're creating a really value-added situation here to yourself and to obviously the business, as well as the customer who's purchasing the product. So that is private label, to be very clear. We're not following around in that mosh pit of retail arbitrage, white label nonsense.
Yeah.
We're going after solution-oriented people, right?
Wow. You see, that's something I didn't. I just thought that, hey, I'm going to put this product on there and white label it, stamp it.
You're going to innovate the product so it's unique to the customer, because understanding that customer avatar is to better understand what your competitors are not doing so that you can charge 1.2 to 2x their retail price point because your value proposition meets more closely with your avatar. And there's a particular process we go through of training your brain to understand that, so that as we go to market, our builders raise their retail prices, which of course raises their profit above the competition selling almost the same, similar, or slightly different variation of the product. But ours is aligned better to the customer avatar in a solution-oriented format. Let me give you an example of what I mean visually. Okay. So in your mind, you've got a tooth. It's hurting. It's aching. Your whole brain is now hurting. 3 days of this. And you're like, okay, that's enough. I need a solution. You call your dentist. What does he say? I got a, 1 hour process, $200. I'll get it done for you. And you're thinking, dang, 1 more hour of this. I've been waiting for 3 days. I reached my point. It has to get done now. What's the other solution, doc? He's like, okay, I got a 10-minute procedure. It's going to cost $500, right? You're like, done. I want that solution. Give it to me now. That's the avatar we're after. Okay. The majority of people on Amazon who don't really know what they're doing, or were taught by people who don't really know what they're doing, are playing in that mosh pit of the $200 1 hour problem. We're playing in the 10-minute, $500 solution. Why? Because that person will come back and buy the extra special braces and the extra special parts and the 200 or this and a 500,000. And we get to what's called customer lifetime value a lot faster and a lot higher. So our average customer value is 3 to 4 times what the average Amazon customer value is. It's not the first acquisition of that customer we're after. And that's where everybody else is going. We're into the second and third acquisition of those customers, the back end of the business. It's where the real money's made.
Absolutely. I agree. It's not them renting a unit from me. It's the add-ons. It's the custom this and the custom that. And hey, for this, it's the things that help them.
And they need it, and they're asking for it. And you don't even necessarily have to sell it, right? Because Amazon, its system is literally telling the people, well, you need this. And they're looking at it going, well, I bought something from that brand. I really appreciate it. Click. I'm buying that one too.
Wow.
And then they come back and do it again. And then they put you on subscribe and save. And all of a sudden your brand affinity and organic affinity goes up. And of course your profit goes up. We go after a very different group of people, again, because our end is exiting with profitability. It isn't just about how many units and the one customer purchase I'm making. That is a way to basically go broke in this business model. And I watch a lot of people in 3 to 4 months put too much money in, fall in the wrong processes by people who don't know what the heck they're doing. And they come up in, marrying their products and their business and are like, now I can't get divorced. I'm stuck with her or him, and I can't get out of this relationship. I put too much money in it, and they're limping along terribly in 3-4 months. And I do not want to play in that ball. That's a wrong way to set people up for failure. Well, it's the right way to set them up for failure. It's the wrong way to handle them. That's
right. Well, Neil, it has been absolutely fantastic. I think you've blown our minds. You've given us something to think about, on passive income that I think will only increase, right? I mean, Amazon's not going to get any smaller.
Well, eCom, right? Remember, you can call it a Yugo and put $1 million in it and not call it a Ferrari. At the end of the day, it's just a different vehicle. The Honda Accord can get us there, or the Lexus can get us there, but there's 2 different people we're shooting for at the end of the day. Not to criticize what you said, but just to clarify. It is literally, a vehicle that we choose to go solve problems for people who are getting started online. And that's getting people to see their products, pay good money for their products, and then actually get them to be successful and profitable. If they go alone to other locations, if they try another vehicle online, a lot of times you hear a lot of failures in that. And it literally gets down to, like, no one saw my product. How do I get people to see my product? I don't know anything about Facebook ads and SEO and Google ads and all this other stuff. Like, go to Amazon because people are buying everything in 30 seconds or less already.
That's right.
Let's get them to see your product. That's the fastest way to make it work.
That's right.
And I got literally 14 and 16-year-old homeschool kids doing this. I got 19-year-old high school drop. Like, what's your excuse? There's no excuse. I got 70-year-old people in here too that are doing the same thing. It doesn't have anything to do with age or demographic. It has to do with understanding the e-commerce opportunity, getting in the vehicle and going for a drive. Like, just get in and go, right?
Yep.
And its opportunity is not diminishing. E-commerce is going up as a whole, and all components of it are going along for the ride.
That's right. Neil, how can people find you? How can people?
Absolutely. Sure. Just go to voltagedm.com, voltagedm.com. I'm sure we'll put a link in this video or wherever. Check it out. Click the Get Started button, and there is a 45-minute video of me, if you haven't already had enough, and go in, spend about 45 minutes listening to the training that I did behind that Get Started link that explains detail, actual capitalization numbers in terms of getting started, expectations, and the whole model. And then should you want to talk a little bit more, there's a link usually below that video, a text number. It reaches me directly. Don't book a call unless you're really serious to understand what's going on. If you're still intrigued, want to know more, got a few questions, just text me. You're going to reach me personally. I'm only interested in those who are serious, so I don't have a sales team. And I'm only inviting you to take a look. It's not for everyone. I can't help everybody. I'm not trying to help everybody. I'm trying to help people who want to be successful and see e-commerce as an opportunity, have made the decision or are on the path to getting through the decision process and realize that business coaching is really what they want. It's what they need. And they understand that there's a system waiting for them to follow.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, Neil Twa, founder and CEO of Voltage Digital Marketing, and it's voltagedm.com. Neil, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.